Us down. We're going to get right to it. We have a special guest out of Illinois who has relatives that are involved in what's happening in Israel. I think I heard earlier today that he has friends that have been taken a hostage by Hamas. I got to make sure that's what I really heard. He'll tell us. And then we're also going to get a report from Ivan Raiklin, who's been up on Capitol Hill, and he confronted Nancy Pelosi on video about January 6th. You're going to want to hear about that. And he has some more breaking news, including, was there any extortion going on with Jack Smith, the special prosecutor, going after Donald Trump? We'll ask him about that and many other reports coming out of our nation's capital. Joining us first is a very special guest. He's running for U.S. Congress, but he also has connections to what's happening in Israel. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you with us. Great to have you with us. So tell me this, what is going on with your family and friends in Israel, please?
Well, so you had it right. I'm running for Congress in the 8th District of Illinois. I live in Chicago, but I have a lot of family and friends in Israel. So, for example, this year I've been there as a visitor and going for family celebrations 4 times so far. So I'm there quite a bit. And, unfortunately, everybody who spends time in Israel or has family in Israel is connected in some way with the events that went on October 7th. And so my own personal anecdotal business is I've got one friend, unfortunately, we buried. He was both an Israeli and a British citizen. And he and another friend of ours named Shlomi Zev, they were both at the concert they were having in right near Gaza.
On October 7th, right, Mark?
On October 7th. They were actually doing security at the event, and my friend Jake, unfortunately, was murdered by these ruthless terrorists, and it took a couple weeks, but we were able to bury him about 2 weeks after the attack. And then another friend of his, they went together, and a friend of mine, his name is Shlomi Zev. I pray for him every day. He's one of the guys you see on these posters. Shlomi's 40 years old and just a sweet, sweet man. And he unfortunately, decided to help out on that day and was providing security there at the event. And when I say security, they were just more or less like a ticket taker, crowd control security, not like army security. And anyway, he's a hostage right now, and I pray for him. They have released some of these women and children, but they really haven't released many or any men, and not Israeli men. So Shlomi's an Israeli, born and bred, and he's a tough guy, and I pray for him. And then, look, as a Jewish American, I have family over there that made what we call Aliyah many, many years ago, and so I have quite a few aunts and uncles and cousins, and because of the situation, they called up, most of the reservists, over 300,000. So I have 5 right now, 5 male first cousins who are in Gaza today. But thank God, they're there doing the job. They're actually fighting for all of us. It's good against evil. And they are fighting the good fight to try to rid both Israel and the world of these Hamas terrorists. And of course, there's also the conflict with Hezbollah, mostly in the north, but that's my connection to it. And, I talk to Israel every day. And like I said, I pray for my friend, and I talk to Americans, and I'm running for Congress. So I'm talking to voters all day long. And we talk about the conflict because there's so much misinformation out there. And of course, that's part of it, the negative propaganda. And so I see it as a little role I can play with at least trying to help people understand the situation, and hopefully, pray for a success there, and hopefully that will help us out here at home as well.
And so you're running for U.S. Congress. Did I hear you say for the 8th District?
Yeah, that's just a teeny tiny bit of Chicago. It's basically the west suburbs of Chicago, and it's been Democrat and Republican back and forth for about 30 years. So it's a very winnable district, but it is currently held by one of these leftist, Democrats who I am looking forward to unseating and taking his place come November. I'm the only. We work very hard to get on the ballot, and also to make it to where we will not have a primary contest. So I'm really just geared up for November, this coming November, where I'll be facing a nice fellow that I will have the pleasure of firing and let him go home to do something else because they have run our country and specifically here in the Chicagoland area, they've just run this place into the ground, and it's
Yeah.
time for a change.
Indeed, they have. I used to frequent the state of Illinois a lot. My wife was born and raised in Rockford, Illinois, and
Yeah,
I have a lot of family back there. I have not been to your state in a long, long time. I pretty much have banned your state. I will not travel to your state
I don't
because
blame you.
of the crime. Your state has passed legislation that allows illegals to be cops, to carry a gun and a badge.
It's crazy,
And
crazy.
you have no respect for the Second Amendment in that state as far as the government goes. And so, why would a person like me, with threats against me nonstop for years, including a gunman from Saudi Arabia with his Quran coming into my conference and filming it, which is all, anyone can find it, it's out there. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, is shutting me down in 4 to 5 cities with terrorist threats against my buildings
Yep.
after we got on the road. So, why would I travel to your state when I can't even be armed? I have to hire security, and I usually have to hire people who are current or former police officers. So under federal law, they can travel with me into the state of Illinois. So at least one or two of us are armed. So I have completely banned your state. And that's really sad because you know what? Aside from Chicago, there are a lot of nice people in that state. I'm sure there's nice people in Chicago too, but
There are.
it's a beautiful state when you get outside of Chicago. I mean, it's beautiful farmland, beautiful
Yep.
people. What shocks a lot of people when they come up there with me from the South and we drive through Illinois, they're shocked at how clean the interstates are, how clean the fence rows are, the farms, picturesque. They're like, wow, these people take a lot of pride in their property. Their fence lines are clean, it's cut, it's beautiful. We could learn a little bit about that down here in the South, where it looks a little rougher sometimes. But they just are
Yeah.
stunned at how picturesque the farms are. But I want to say nice things about the people, but the government has destroyed your state.
No, that's exactly right. And I don't blame you for not coming, but realize when you're driving to Chicago through the state of Illinois, you are driving through Texas. It's as red as any place in the United States. It's only when you get to the Marxist city and county, we call it Crook County, and the city of Chicago
So
does it
instead of
become
Cook
very,
County,
very
so
leftist.
instead of Cook
Yeah,
County,
I
you
mean,
call it
it deserve it acronym.
Crook County,
And
huh?
and look, there's good people, and I'm fortunate that my district goes out into those west suburbs. I'm in Crook County, but I'm also in DuPage County and Kane County, which are very red. It's basically like MAGA country. So, like I said, it's been Republican and Democrat back and forth, but out of 17 seats in the state of Illinois, 14 are blue. There's only 3 red seats, and of course, the leftist Democrats have gerrymandered it so badly that it's stayed pretty safely Democrat. So what's going on now is people like me. I'm a political outsider. I'm a business guy. I'm from the state of Texas, born and raised. So I know what it's like
How
to
did you
be a
get
conservative
there? How
my
did you
whole
get
life.
there?
Made a wrong turn. I came here in my 20s and I married a girl from here, and
Yeah. And
now 4 kids later, and
if you stay too long, you never get out.
it's true. But rather than leave like about 100,000 people a year doing, they're moving to Texas, they're moving to Florida, they're moving, whether it's New York, LA, or Chicago, all 3 of those places are, very Democrat, very left leaning. We haven't had a Republican mayor in the city of Chicago for 100 years. So what do? You get a Marxist place. And with all of those policies, whether it's crazy gun, legislation, not, rewarding the bad guys and not allowing the good guys to even defend themselves, or it's the border situation with the illegals that are coming here and just creating all kinds of problems and all the deaths associated with that with fentanyl. And then of course the economy, everybody's got to go grocery shopping or feed put gas in their car. And that's waking people up. You'd be shocked. We're hearing really good things from people who maybe were on the left or maybe somewhere in the middle. People are now waking up. I hate to use that term, but they're waking up to the woke sort of socialist craziness that we now are feeling all the consequences. And people like you don't want to come here. People who live here are moving, and all of that is creating sort of a death spiral.
Yeah,
Bad
because we
effects,
used
so
to
that people like me come in and turn it around.
Well, I hope you can. We used to hold a lot of big conferences there. We used to
Yeah.
go throughout your state: Peoria, Illinois; Moline, Illinois; Rockford, Illinois; Chicago suburbs. We used to go through
Yep.
there and hold a lot of conferences, my Worldview Weekend, Christian Worldview conferences, and we would have huge crowds. We would have very big turnouts. But like I
Yeah.
said, that would mean people coming some places, and some of those and staying in a hotel, and eating meals. It's generating revenue, and but when you have a state that's not going to honor the Second Amendment, let criminals run rampant, people like me are not going to come there, and as you know, and hold events and feel safe and respected, and it's going to crash your tax base, because a lot of people are going to avoid your state. And I guarantee you, I am not the only, at one time conference coordinator who did this from 93 until 2018, when we finally got fed up with the threats and Antifa and Black Lives Matter, Muslim Brotherhood, people threatening our events. And now we only do one event a year in the Ozarks, because that sheriff in that county won't tolerate these people
Sure.
for 1 minute. But I guarantee you, I'm not the only business person avoiding your state. Can you confirm?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, many of the big companies, Caterpillar, Citadel, some of the finest, Boeing, I mean, we're talking about Fortune 500 companies, they're all leaving. The convention business, like you say, plenty of them are changing their mind or finding more, friendlier places to go. And it is very true, but you get what you deserve. The people who have, when you lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas, and that's what's going on. We really are now feeling it. So even the people who are so left-leaning or so, let's say, open-minded, that half their brain is spilled out, and they believe in all this socialism nonsense, they're seeing that it's a losing proposition. And by the way, everything we're talking about, crime, the border, the economy, it's all foisted on us by our leaders. The state is a beautiful state. Like you say, it's the land of Lincoln, beautiful farmland, a lot to be proud of. But guys like you and me, perhaps, that go to church, I'm Jewish, I go to synagogue, people that believe in God, we have businesses to run, we've put our heads down, and we've really allowed this to happen. And these guys have a masterful plan. I mean, they've executed it well to take over, and people like us are suffering because of it. But now people like me that are total outsiders, never run for any office before, but I'm a pretty successful business guy, know what I'm doing. A lot of just regular folks are waking up, and we're going to take this thing back.
Let's
We're going to
pray.
take it back for our state, for our city, and for our country. Our whole country is really suffering from the same leftist ideology that has really driven, everything into the ditch. Well, it's time
Absolutely.
to get new people to bring the car out of the ditch.
Absolutely. Look at this screenshot here. I want you to comment on this before I let you go and go to Ivan Raikland. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pushed back against United States plans to place a reformed Palestinian Authority in Gaza once Israel's military campaign to oust Gaza is finished. That's like saying we're going to put in some reformed Nazis. They're not quite as radical as the last guys. They're still Nazis, but they're neo-Nazis. Well, that's exactly what we're talking about here, because the Palestinian Authority, Muslim Brotherhood, they have their stake coming all the way back to Nazi Germany, because it was the Grand Mufti of Palestine that Hitler grabbed and gave him an apartment in Berlin, and had him broadcasting his hate on radio, translating Mein Kampf into Arabic, my struggle to my jihad. And there's all the video. I mean, Nuremberg trials, we know all about it. The Grand Mufti of Palestine was involved in helping to orchestrate the final solution. So to think we're going to put in a reformed Nazis, well, that's really what you're doing when you work with the Palestinian Authority and Muslim Brotherhood. These are neo-Islamic Nazis.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It would be like after World War II, installing members of the SS to run the what was left of Germany after we were done with World War II. And God bless Bibi Netanyahu and what they're doing over there. It's tough, but they know. And my cousins who are there every day, I'm able to talk to them sometimes on calls like this, on Zoom calls. And I'm always like, I'm praying for you, but get in there and get out as quickly as possible. And they're like, no, Mark, we're not going to get out of there as quickly as possible. We're not going to get out of there till we complete the job. It's a big job to do. They've been living in fear. When I've been over there myself, even this year, I see rockets coming over and air raid sirens. It's no way to live when you're living around people who want to kill you. So
Exactly
they're
right.
going to do the job and do it well, and they're going to get rid of these terrorists who want to kill all of us, not just the Israelis. They want to kill anybody who doesn't believe the way that they do. So those people have got to go, and those, God bless those soldiers. They're going to do the job with our support and with the whole world's support, because good recognizes good and evil is evil. And Bibi said it very well. Of course, they're not going to just go. That's a definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. That's not going to happen. So I have a lot of confidence that things aren't going to be perfect, but they're going to get a lot better.
Let's hope
And,
so.
and God is there. God is real. And the good guys are in charge, and the good guys prevail. It doesn't always look like it, but in the end, we prevail.
Yeah, we're certainly praying for the peace of Israel. There's no doubt about that.
Thank you.
Give your website, Mark, before we let you go.
Oh, thank you very much. So I'm Rice for Congress. It's the number 4. So riceforcongress.com. I'm all over social media. And like I said, I'm the only candidate now for the Republican party. So I am the nominee for the election in November. There will be a primary, but I won't have an opponent. So I'm it. And I really plan to take this seat back into the red column where it belongs, and look forward to working with my colleague.
You don't even have to
in
win
Washington.
a primary.
No, I'll win it, but I won't have an opponent. So I'm just running a race from now until November.
Well, good for
against
you.
my opponent, who, by the way, you'll love this. First of all, he's supported by CARE, which is a
Council on American
Muslim,
Islamic Relations. It's an offspring of Muslim
might
Brotherhood.
as well be Hamas,
Well,
right?
CARE was started in Muslim Brotherhood started in 1928. CARE
Right.
Hamas was started in 1987 out of that, and then I think CARE was started in 1994.
Right. No, it's all together. He's supported financially. He's even on their website endorsing them and all their good works. And anyway, and
good
then,
works. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're killing Jews. That's great, and being part of a death cult, I suppose that's good. But he also is he's supposedly the lead counsel at defending Joe Biden in Congress. How's that for you? So,
all right, folks, follow his race, follow his website. And again, you have 5 first cousins that are in the IDF fighting, and you have 1 or 2 friends that are now still hostages with Hamas who were there that day as general crowd control. Is it 1 or 2 of them, of your friends?
One unfortunately was killed,
Murdered.
but the other one's currently a hostage.
Okay, one was
His name
murdered.
is Shlomi Zev. If you want to pray for him, please do.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something. My 5 first cousins, I just got today a picture of a couple of them anyway, and they're celebrating Hanukkah, which is the festival of lights, which is all about shining light into darkness. And where are they celebrating Hanukkah? In Gaza, right in the middle of the fight.
Wow. God bless them. Thank you, Mark, for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Well, hope to have you back. Mark Rice checking in. We'll follow his race for Congress, where he has no one going against him in the primary, so he'll win that. So he's really concentrating on next November.